Hi everyone, and welcome back to Spiration week 13 for me. I'm a little late in the week with it, but it's week number 13 nonetheless. I found my card in the most unusual of places. I bought this book, Perfect Sentiments. I kept seeing this in the stores and going back to it and thinking, no, I don't need this, and then going back again. And finally I thought, I'm going to purchase it because it gives you 1,100 quotes for what to say just at the right time, and you're tongue-tied and can't think of the right sentiment to put inside of a card. So you can use them and type them out and use them almost like fake rubber stamps. You know how you type it and then glue it in, it looks like you stamped it. So it has some beautiful, beautiful quotes in here. But what I didn't realize is they also had every few pages pictures of cards. So I was looking for a sympathy card the other day. Unfortunately, my good friend's mom passed away, and I thought that's one thing we don't have a lot of is sympathy cards. But we unfortunately do need them. So I saw this one. It isn't a sympathy card, but I turned it into one. But I just loved the subtlety of how the bird in the watercolor, I just thought it was such a pretty card, and the little flower embellishment there. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little metal butterfly just kind of flying off the page. The detailing in this is just so, so pretty. And they've got stitching across there. And then the background paper, and then they coordinated another background piece right there, the stripes. And I don't know, the softness of this card, I just really appealed to me. So I thought this is going to be the card I'm going to make. And I already made one of them and gave it to her already, so I hope I can remember exactly how I did it. But I have all the pieces. So I cut a card just in 5.5. Cut it 5.5 by 11, folded it in half, and it gave me a 5.5-inch square card. I can't remember the designer paper that I used, but it is, I cut this in 5.5 because I wanted it to be exactly the same size as the card front, so you don't really see any of the excess cardstock. And then I cut my stripe piece here, and again, I'm sorry I don't know the line, I can't remember, but I'll try and go see if I have the name of it still. And then for the mat on the front, I cut out, I believe this is, I'll just measure it here, a 4-inch square of textured green cardstock, and this is 3 3/4 inches square. And then for the bird piece, I'm doing it on watercolor paper so that I can get that watery soft look. So this is going to be 3.5-inch square piece. So I'll cut that, get my stamp ready, and be right back. So the stamp set I'm using is Language of Friendship from Stampin' Up. It was one that they gave away in that, I can't remember what it's called, but when you spend $60 and you can get something free. And I really liked it because it coordinates with this punch set with the bird, the branch, and the wing. So I really, really like that. When it came together, they had all these pieces as one, but I separated them. I think it's just a lot easier to separate it. So I'm going to be using the bird, the twig or the branch, the leaf, and the little tiny little bird feet. So the best way to achieve my kind of watercolor, so this is the top here, bottom. First thing I'm going to do is stamp in my leaves. So what I did is I used Distress inks because they're a little bit more forgiving. So this one is crushed olive, and then I spritzed it with a tiny, tiny bit of water. I'm going to do it over here from a distance so it's not saturated in water. And then I'm going to try to create like my branch. So my birdie, so I will start here. Yeah, see, so you get that little bit of a water-colored effect. So I'm going to do it again. And the one thing with watercoloring, it is never like perfect and crisp. That's the whole beauty of it. It has that kind of watered out look. So I'm going to put this one a little bit like this because I want the birdie to have a branch to stand on. I didn't bother putting this on any kind of a acrylic stamp thing. So the next thing I'm going to use is the broken china for my bird. My bird is in the opposite direction of the one in the picture, but I mean, it doesn't matter unless you have them compared side by side. You're not going to notice that. So really going to ink up our bird quite well. Whoops. And again, I'll spritz it off camera. Just don't want to get any water on the camera. So I'm going to stamp my birdie right about here, leaving enough room for his little feet. I'm not sure if this is how you do the watercolor effect, but this is how I do it. The way I figured it out. And then I just have to put the wing on. And again, I'm just going to continue using the exact same technique. And pop my little wing on my bird, like so. There. And then I am not going to spritz the feet because it's such a tiny little stamp that it isn't going to matter. Oops. They're so small. This is the smallest little stamp, but it's so cute. So I'll just put birdie feet right there, standing on the branch. There we go. So then I am going to stamp my sentiment, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment over here. And I'm using, it's from the Thoughts and Prayers set from Stampin' Up! And Ranger's Archival black ink. And I'm using the one that says, Sharing in Your Sorrow. So I'm just going to stamp that up. This ink is so nice and crisp when it's just beside the water look. You get a really nice crisp stamp. There. We're not quite done with this, but I want that watercolor part to dry. So can you see that there? So we'll come back to that in just a second when it's dry. Now, on the original card, they had a crocheted flower, but I wanted to do a different flower. I saw this lady, I subscribed to her channel. Her name is Annette, but I don't know her exact channel name, but I'll put it in the down bar because she does some amazing stuff. So she made a flower freehand out of just some thin newsprint, and the thinner it is, the better. So what you basically do is just cut it in a circle. I've got 4 pieces together. You only need 3. So why I have 4 I do not know, but anyway. You're just going to need 3 of them. So I'll get rid of one of these. 1, 2, that one. Okay. So then what you're going to do is get your bone folder. You're going to fold that in half, and then fold it in half again. So you're going to fold all 3 of them together in half. And this paper is so thin, you don't even really need a bone folder. Fold it in half again, and then fold it in half again. And you're just going to cut off the top, and it's going to indicate where your petals are going to be. There you go. So then you open it up very carefully. This paper is super fragile. I'm going to have to try another one. This one's a little too thin. I'll be back. Okay, I got some paper that was a little sturdier from a different book. So you fold your paper in half, fold it in half again and fold it in half one more time, and you can see the difference between this paper. It's a little tougher to fold all three pieces, but that's what you want. Then you're just going to cut off your petal shape. Ugh. There we go. There. So then you open up your flower and you've got something that looks like this. So down each one of those fold lines you're going to cut almost to the center, but not, obviously not all the way. So you're just going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll put this flower together. Okay, so I've got my three petals or flowers together, and I'm going to put them all together, but I'm going to try to alternate so that all the cut seams are alternating. And then I've got this, I think they're called screw punches. It's the Martha Stewart one, and they've got various sizes stored here in the handles if you want to make bigger holes or smaller ones. And it's pretty easy if you're just doing a simple little hole. So I'm just going to take it right here, push it down. Got my hole. Easy peasy. Then I'm going to use a really pretty brad. It's from the Echo Park paper. This called Decorative Happy Days Decorative Brads. They are so cute. I love this one here of that lady. So for this card, I'm just using a simple pearl brad from that set. So just popped it in the middle like that. And then you're just going to, I'm going to distress this with gathered twigs, and then I'm going to crunch it up and create my flower. There. So there's your little newsprint flower. So we'll put that aside. Now we're going to go on to build our card. So I am going to take this piece here, and I'm going to also take my little striped piece, and I'm going to ink them around with, I don't know where I put my striped piece, hang on, here it is. I'm going to ink it around with this gathered twigs again. And I'm just using a little makeup sponge for this. To hear this down, I'm using my So Easy, and I'm using this zigzag head here. So I'm going to zigzag along there, and I'm going to stitch it with this thread, the lightest one, and I believe it's called Quicksand. So I'm going to get that all done, and I'll be back. So I've just finished up my stitching there, as you can see. So the needle is still attached here. And what I do on the back, I love my So Easy. I know a lot of people say they've got them. I'm just making a little loop there, as you can see. And they don't use it a lot, but I tend to use mine quite a bit. I love it. I think it's just because I'm too lazy to haul out my sewing machine. And plus it gives a bit more for cards. It's a more of a textured, I don't know if I turn it sideways, you can see it's raised up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just take a little piece of Scotch tape on either side there just to hold it in, even though I'm adhering this down to the card front, but just to be a little safe there. And we're just going to ink around just about all these elements for the card front. Just about finished. One more side here. Then I'm going to start building my card. I'm going to take some of this gathered twig on our birdie here, and I'm just going to do it the proper way and distress that up a bit. It gives a little bit of a mottled look to it. I'm just going to lightly do that. And then I'm taking my water and just going to give it a, this is from a distance, a good spritz. Use a waterproof ink, because after all this work you would hate, it'll be dry by the time I put the rest of the card together. So now I'm going to mount my pink piece on top of the green with the ATG. Then I will mount this on top of the card front. And I'm going to make special note of where I place this, because after all of that nice stitching, I don't want to hide it with the card piece. So I'm going to make sure that I'm just below that stitch line there, so it'll match up right with the bottom of the card. So I'll glue that on, and then the next thing we can do is, now we're ready to adhere this to the card front. I'll take my distressed ink and just catch the edge of that card. All that's left to do now is to add our pretty bird, our flower, and our little butterfly piece. I'm going to put that right there. We add the element of the flower here, making sure it doesn't block. And if you're going to put an envelope, you can flatten the flower down or make a little bit smaller flower. It's entirely up to you. Just add a little bit of glue on the back of that brad. Just being careful that you don't block your sentiment, because that's the key. And then the final element I added to this card, I had these Studio G charms, and you see these little butterflies there? I think I'm going to take this one, and I cut off the little section where it should be attached to like you know, like to a chain or something, like a charm, that little loopy thing. So just take your wire snippers. Make sure you protect your eyes in case it goes flying. I think you could probably use scissors too. There. And we just got rid of that. And I'm going to apply just a little bit of glue on the back of this and add our little butterfly embellishment, kind of going a bit off to the side like so. So there is our card, and here is the original. Oops, sorry. And the sentiment that I put inside for my girlfriend, I took it from this book, and it says, "Like a bird singing in the rain, let grateful memories survive in time of sorrow," by Robert Louis Stevenson. And I just thought it went perfectly with this little bird card. So there's my cardspiration for week 13. And thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.